Those of you that attended the program yesterday evening got an introduction to the super elevated character of the wives of the Kaliya serpent, and what a contrast between the Kaliya serpent and his wives. I don't know where I'll be able to find this, but there may be somebody that knows where to find this other Purana or some history that says how they became so elevated and educated. Here I was thinking, in Mahabharata, there's no formal description of Hanuman and his education. But Hanuman, just before he makes his jump to Lanka, there's a verse that says he offers his prayers to Suryadev. Because when Hanuman first met Lord Ramachandra, he was disguised. He had shape-changing ability, so he disguised himself as a Brahmana. And when he came before Krishna, his assignment was, for Ramachandra and Lakshman, his assignment was friend or foe. They're dressed like mendicants, but they can have bows and arrows and swords. So that's a contradiction. So what's up? Are they friend or foe? And when he got before them, he immediately, just by being in Ramachandra's presence, he could understand. He's not just friend. He's an exceptional personality, just being in his presence. So he didn't wait. He didn't do the ministerial check him out kind of espionage. He just immediately disclosed who he was and his mission and who he was representing. And Sugriva is up on the mountaintop, and Ramchandra didn't say anything. Hanuman did all the speaking. And then, rather than speaking directly to Hanuman, Ram spoke to Lakshmana. Said, did you hear his speech? It was so elegant and eloquent and perfect Sanskrit and this and that. He's a very cultured person. But it doesn't say it doesn't give the explanation of the circumstances of how the sun god became his guru. But it does indicate specifically that he learned what he learned from the sun god. So there's some, I'm curious, somebody somewhere, some Puranic personality may know the history behind these wives of the Kaliya serpent, because who was their teacher and how'd they get so learned, and then after being so learned, how'd they marry Kalia? So that was one reflection on just this whole topic that we heard yesterday. Then another is that there were three, according to Sridhar Swami, the prayers of the wives of the Kaliya serpent have three parts. And we covered the first two. And now we're about to finish up the last of part two, and then enter into part three. So part one was, this is just, that the punishing of our husband is perfectly fitting. And, in a whole series of verses, why it is so. So they were accepting and honoring what Krishna had done. the punishing. And then in between is this super elevated tattva, the truths of about Krishna, that the truths about tattva, about Krishna, it can't be understood without bhakti. So they're devotees. They're not just scholarly ladies. They're devotees because they understand things about Krishna that are concealed from someone that isn't a devotee. There's a substantial, in the commentary also, reference to Gyan and the subject matter that Gyanis have an affinity for, and they know that subject matter also. But just like the Srimad Bhagavatam, one can look at some sections of Srimad Bhagavatam and say this is Gyan, or it's knowledge of Krishna Tattva. Some of the same points in more drawn out language that these wives of the Kaliya serpent offered very succinctly, but one after the next, after the next, and after the next. And where we're going to end up for the final verse of their praise of Krishna is, according to our commentators, it's the summary, it's the purpose of the whole pastime. So listen carefully when the verse is spoken and then the commentary is given. And then there's this shifting of gears. That's, and one could say it's an aspect of pure devotion, or one could say, if one hadn't heard part 2, the part 3 sounds like they're just attached. And they're attached in a way that he deserves to be punished, but you're the Supreme Personality of God who's the cause of everything, and you can do anything and everything, and a person of your position is the source of all living entities, and our husband is one of those living entities, and he's now been purified adequately, more than adequately, by the touch of your lotus feet, and so he's qualified to be forgiven. He's qualified to be punished, and he's qualified to be forgiven at the same time. So several times they explicitly ask for forgiveness, and the conclusion is you can do with him whatever you feel is appropriate. Like Lord Chaitanya's prayer, you can crush me, you can neglect me, you can trample me. You're the independent Supreme Lord. You can do with our husband what you feel is best, but forgive him. And it works. Their eloquence has been displayed, their erudition has been displayed, and their devotion has been displayed. And Krishna's going to submit to these loving devotees of his, the wives. So good for Kalia to be married to such faithful and qualified wives. However that happened, it's a great fortune for him. And then from that great fortune of his, along with the touch of Krishna's lotus feet, more than touch, but again, stomping of Krishna's lotus feet, smashing of his hoods, till he was practically dead. Lots of mercy. So we're not going to conclude everything this evening, but we're going to get as far as after the wives make their appeal for mercy. Krishna agrees on a condition, doesn't state yet the condition, but he's going to state the condition. And then Kalia somehow becomes revived. Again, Sanatana Goswami says because of prema. He sees something in Kalia that, like, I really want to know what he sees. So he releases him. Then Kalia starts to offer his prayers. And they're quite simple compared to his wives. They're quite simple. And, looking ahead, because he's smashed, he can almost dead, but just barely able to speak. He paraphrases in simple, very simple terms what his wives already said, because he heard it, and he's just saying it again in very simple terms. And he becomes silent. And that's where we're going to end. And then tomorrow is what Krishna says. And that ends chapter 16. And then it goes over to chapter 17 to understand, the history behind Kalia, how he got in the river Jamuna in the first place. Where did he come from? Why was he there? And we get the background. It's an unusual way of narrating the history. Normally that would come first, and then we hear what he did. But anyway, that's the structure. Comes chapter 17. So here's this prayer, one of the two prayers that we've heard many times. And I hope the sound system is going to be working. And I those of you that have seen this and heard this several times, it's really nice. Just pause in between.
Kamam damodara mama mana pannaga pina bhogo Kamam damodara mama mana pannaga pina bhogo Dushtasibhi kutilavalanai शोभयत्येष लोकम् दुष्टासिभिः कुटिलवलनैः शोभयत्येष लोकम् तद्विक्रान्तस्त्वमुदितपद द्वन्द्वपङ्केरुहाङ्कम् तद्विक्रान्तस्त्वं मुदितपद द्वन्द्वपङ्केरुहाङ्कम् कुर्वन्दर्वीकर दमनहे ताण्डवे दण्डयामुम् कुर्वन्दर्वीकर दमनहे ताण्डवे दण्डयामुम्
O Lord Krishna, with its crooked motions and the sharp fangs of its wicked desires, the great snake of my mind torments the entire world. O all-powerful Lord, O crusher of Kalia, please punish that snake with your dancing. Please place on it the mark of your lotus feet. So this is the final of the section 2 prayers, the glorification of Krishna prayers. And color-coded. We're going to go through each of these terms.
Paravatijnaya Sarvadhyakshaya te namah Avishvaya cha vishvaya Tadrashtresya cha hetave.
Obeisances unto you, who know the destination of all things, superior and inferior, and who are the presiding regulator of all that be. You're distinct from the universal creation, and yet you are the basis upon which the illusion of material creation evolves, and also the witness of this illusion. Indeed, you are the root cause of the entire world.
So, commentary. You know the goal to be attained by the devotee and the non-devotee, para and avara. You are the superintendent of all results, and thus knowing what is proper, you bestow results to each according to what one deserves. Though you dispense karmic fruits, you are not bound by karma because you are above matter. And I discovered that you may be interested. Rupa Goswami, in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Rupa Goswami, in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita, covers each verse in this whole Leela and makes very short commentary. I just found that out yesterday or this morning or something. So this is taken from him. The reason for this pastime is given in this verse. You are knowledge of the destination of all beings, since you are one with knowledge, but you cannot be understood. You are visible to everyone's eyes, sarvadhyakshaya. The universe does not exist in you, but it was seen in your abdomen. He goes on. When Brahma's illusion was removed, so Brahma Vimohan Lila makes reference, you remained as a witness of the universe. So Brahma was shown what Brahma was shown. All the while Krishna was sitting there preparing to have lunch with his own expansion counter boys. You remain as the witness of the universe with yogurt rice in your hand, with the nature of not hiding anything. This is just taking the verse, and I have to correct, it's Laghu Bhagavatamrita. You performed all those feats, not showing that you performed all those feats. So it's a private darshan, a private exhibition of Krishna Tattva to Lord Brahma. And when it was over, he remained the witness, and he didn't, although all truthful, he didn't display it again or elsewhere. But in each of the four-handed forms, you were the cause and maintenance of the universe, Hetave. Again, this is Lagu Bhagavatamrita. As the shelter, I like this, as the shelter of contrary qualities, because this is leading into the next section. This is the final verse of the glorification of Krishna, but it leads into appealing on behalf of the husband to excuse him. As the shelter of contrary qualities, Krishna is shown to have inconceivable Shakti. That's what the verse number 48 is doing. By that, his power is shown. Say Brahma Vimohan Lila, that the potencies of Krishna are without limit. Brahma wanted to know, what's the extent of the power of this little boy who just gave liberation to Agasura? And the answer is there's no limit. Inconceivable Shakti, and he displayed it in many ways. By that, his power is shown. This was mentioned before. Since you are the abode of contrary qualities, you should also be merciful to Kalia, who is fit to be punished. Meaning, the first set of prayers is, your punishment of our husband is appropriate. Well done. No complaint. No objection. Well done. Now, you are what you are, the one who brings about the material creation with all of its diversity, and you brought about her husband, and he has a snake body, so he has envy, as snakes have by nature an envious side to them. But you purified him, so now please, with all of your contrary qualities, you please also forgive him, excuse him, show mercy to him, along with punishing him. So that's the end of this second session of prayers, or section of prayers, and then comes the final 5. Again, this numbering is Sridhar Swami's numbering. So Lagu Bhagavatamrita, this is Rupa Goswami, comments, you're asking what fault does he have? I, full of powers, gave him a snake body. Meaning, he was deserving of a snake body and deserving the being punished, yes. But now they're going to appeal to this other side, the contrary side. O Almighty Lord. So this is the first of those 5 prayers. Although you have no reason to become involved in material activity, still you act through your eternal potency of time to arrange for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of this universe. Now you all know, just they are making statements that are just part of Sankhya philosophy. And in Sankhya philosophy, there's the unfolding of creation. There's the resting period, and then by the arrangement of the personality of Godhead, it becomes time, or he who is not bound by time, but it's time for creation. So he, Mahavishnu, glances over the undifferentiated totality of material energy, the pradhan. He just glances like a cloud in the sky. He glances. And then the cloud in the sky starts to differentiate into different elements. And along with the glance go the living entities. Because to have creation, you have to have living entities, and you also have to have time. So time, energy, this is second canto and third canto, 2 almost identical descriptions. Time is needed for creation. You don't have events without time. You have to have time for events, past, present, future. Time as we know it. There's eternal, then there's past, present, future kind of time. So that time energy is carried by the glance of Mahavishnu, glancing upon Pradhan. So time energy, he engages time energy for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of this universe. You do this by awakening the distinct functions of each of the modes of nature, which before the creation remain dormant. So the pradhan state, it's just prakriti in its undifferentiated state, and then it starts to differentiate. And then the pradhan, now differentiated into 24 elements, clings to living entities, and they develop bodies according to their past karma and the modes of nature. You're used to it, huh? Your brother. Okay, I'm just remarking on. So these are educated ladies, they're Vaishnavis, and they understand who the person is that they're speaking to, because all those Krishna Tattva topics that they already clearly delineated, they understand who he is. And now they're focusing on the process of creation. Simply by your glance, you perfectly execute all these activities of cosmic control in a sporting mood. And that's part of the translation of the verse. Now here's Laghu Bhagavatamrita comment. In waking the conditioned jivas by your glance, there is suitability. You possess this natural power in the form of time. So natural, krita is to do and akrita is to not do, but it's a natural power, although he's doing through the agency of time, he does nothing. He creates without doing anything. That's pretty clever. You awaken impressions of ancient karma or swabhava marked by the gunas. So material energy starts to mix, and according to the plan of their previous activities, they're awarded bodies. The jiva's faults arise from the actions they performed, not from what you did. You are like the rain cloud, equal to all. Now, where this is going, they're laying a philosophical foundation or principle-based foundation to say, and our husband, he's also part of creation, and he got the body of a snake because of his past activities, but you've purified him. Now give him your mercy, please. And excuse him and free him, because he's almost dead. Here's the next verse. The three types of bodies, those that are peaceful, agitated, and foolish, modes of nature, are all your creations, including our husband. Still, those who are in sattva guna are dear to you. It is to protect their dharma that you have descended. So he descended for that purpose, and he also came there to dance on the hoods of the Kalia serpent because he had polluted the whole place, poisoned the place. And you were purifying him so that poison would no longer continue. And he would be freed from that capacity to emit poisons. So commentary is asking the question, hey, wives, why are you offering all these praises for me? Answer, you are the universe, consisting of all the devotees and non-devotees, as previously stated. If you awaken the non-devotees, like our husband, with their bad nature for the creation, then how is it possible for Kalia to give up his cruel nature on his own? Help. It's very clever. It's subtle, but very clever. They're good. They're like lawyers or something in a courtroom. Though all the bodies in the universe are yours, or they're under him, Now we see that the devotional ones are dear to you. You perform actions to protect the path of the devotees, to nourish them. So you're punishing our husband and you're taking care of the cows and the cowherd boys and all the residents of Vrindavan that are standing over there on the bank of the Jamuna. So you're protecting them. You're doing this for them. Again, Laghu Bhagavatamrita states, Padma Purana says, I perform various actions in order to please my devotee. So confirming. Now, that's verse number 2 of 5. Where is this train going? Forgive our husband. That's where the train is going. A master should tolerate an offense committed by his child or subject. O supreme peaceful soul, Shantaya, you should therefore forgive our foolish husband who did not understand who you are. Though vastly learned and very devoted, but they're not done yet. They're going to say a few more very strong things, compelling things. It is proper that you forgive him. Again, this is Laghu Bhagavatamrita. It says JG, but it's Laghu Bhagavatamrita. The offense committed by the citizen should be tolerated and forgiven by the master, the nourisher, who is like a father. You should completely forgive, since you are the embodiment of peacefulness. By his nature, as a species in ignorance, he was devoid of knowledge, and thus did not recognize you. Even when you displayed astonishing pastimes, he could not recognize you. You should tolerate once the offense Kalia has committed against your devotees. Now, previous is you come for the benefit of your devotees, and Krishna, and he's confirming, yes. So he's made an offense against your devotees, but forgive him. It was a one-time forgiveness at least. Having been taught a lesson by you, if Kalia again harasses your devotees, you're not obliged to forgive him. One-time forgiveness, please. Twice they asked Krishna to forgive Kalia to express their fervent state. This is Vishwanath. Krishna is addressed as Shanta, peaceful, because that is the cause of forgiveness. Paraphrasing, because Kalia is foolish, without knowledge, he is qualified for forgiveness. No, Prabhupada would often say, you go to a court and say, Your Honor, I didn't know it was against the law. Ignorance is no excuse in the courtroom. But they're pleading beyond the courtroom kind of thing. They're pleading because you are the supreme. You've already purified your husband. You understood he is to be punished, and you punished him. And we already acknowledged in number of verses that this was appropriate. But now please extend this additional quality that's within you, and that is a contradictory quality. Punish him and forgive him. Punish him and show him mercy, because your punishment was also mercy. He is now purified. Listen. Krishna, you want me to forgive him? I have diagnosed his disease and given the treatment. He is now cured. But in order to wipe out the remnants of disease, I must stamp on his head 7 or 8 times more. You should permit this. And the Naga-patnis say, by giving him this strong medicine of punishment, some more mercy to purify him of all fault, he may die, for he has already come to the stage of departing from his body. Krishna says, good. What does it matter if he gives up the snake body? What can he do with this body? Better that he gets a spiritual body as my devotee. Very reasonable, right? Naga-patnis. If we beautiful women become widows, we will be engaged by force to enjoy with another sinful snake. But Kalia has now become a Vaishnava. He has become our very life, an object of our affection. They're appealing on their own behalf, in addition to his behalf, and the merciful capacity of Krishna. They're good lawyers. If you want them in a courtroom, you have a good representation. It is proper for the saintly to feel compassion for women like us, so that now they're putting themselves forward. They showed who they are, and they're feeling dependent upon their now Vaishnava husband. So implicitly, not explicitly, they're acknowledging, and Krishna is going to acknowledge, yes, he has become purified. He's taken shelter of me. It is proper for the saintly to feel compassion for women like us. The serpent is about to give up his life. Please give us back our husband, who is our life and soul. Now, this is directly the translation in the Bhaktivedanta publication of this. That's not Prabhupada's words. It's because Prabhupada's translation ended with chapter 14. So here we are. This is his. Was it 14 or 13? 14. 14. I hear 14. Do I hear 13? 14. 14, okay. So this is now not Prabhupada, this is the BBT translation. 13. 13. You're the 13 guy. I guess that's what I... Yeah, I think. Lucky 13. Okay, let's go. So this is Lagu Bhagavatamrita commentary on this verse. And Rupa Goswami makes reference to a verse that comes later in the Bhagavatam, the Uddhava Gita section. Remember your promise. I am the ultimate shelter for the distress. Artanam sharanam tvaham. Even if you do not show mercy to him, show mercy to us. We are women in a lamentable position because we have no independence. They're persuasive. Krishna then says, okay, take your husband. I'm giving him to you. But I make this order which you must follow. And there's yes, yes, yes. We will follow. Give us the order. And later he's going to give the order. He's going to give a few of them. Now please tell us, this is the last of their appeal section of verses. Please tell us, your maidservants, what we should do. Certainly anyone who faithfully executes your order is automatically freed from all fear. So that's the end of their prayers, and now comes Kaliya's prayers. So it's not too many. This is going to be shorter than yesterday evening class. Yesterday evening class kind of got exhausting. So this is much shorter. And then tomorrow we'll discuss what Krishna says, and then the history of the Kaliya serpent. So we'll start with verse number 54. Thus praised by the Naga-patnis, Krishna then released Kalia, who fell unconscious. Kalia slowly regained his sensory functions. Breathing loudly and painfully, he humbly addressed Krishna. Krishna then gave up, this is Vishwanath's commentary, Krishna then gave up afflicting Kalia, who was weak because of the blows of Krishna's feet on his head. Then, Krishna suddenly jumped off his head and stood before him. And here's Sanatana Goswami's commentary. He who suffers from others' suffering, Bhagavan, Krishna, left Kalia, who had fainted, with his head broken by the blows of his feet, Krishna's feet. Though there were reasons to release him, the description of the snake in this verse show that he had given up his evil nature completely. Again, Sanatana Goswami is very kind to Kalia. For some good reason, I'm sure. He goes on, Sanatana Goswami, by being released, the dispelling force of the trance of ecstasy, by being released by the dispelling force of the trance of ecstasy, he's gone to Bhava Bhakti. He had regained the functions of his senses. Hari means he who has taken away the contamination of false pride and so on, because Krishna is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the most attractive on account of his special mercy, and who bestows supreme bliss. Being absorbed in blissful dancing, the Lord broke Kaliya's heads. This is, again, Sanatana Goswami's commentary, and he explains what breaking Kaliya's heads means. People show their bad nature through their heads. Having a broken head means he had his bad nature removed. Thus he fainted because of bliss. Again, Sanatana Goswami has some special insight into this personality. He's very kind, Sanatana Goswami. If you're in trouble, you know a good place to go for shelter. Sanatana Goswami. Kalia, with difficulty, somehow or other offered obeisances, folding his hands. I haven't seen any hands in these paintings. The wives have hands. Anyway, folded his hands. Since all the limbs of his body, spelled wrong, were suffering pain, and thus he was not capable of offering obeisances by throwing his body down upon the ground. Of course, he's in the water, so he's got hands and he couldn't pay obeisances. The serpent Kalia said, "Our very birth as a snake has made us envious, ignorant, and constantly angry." Oh my Lord, this is a verse spoken by Kalia. It is so difficult for people to give up their conditioned nature by which they identify with that which is unreal. It's called Maya. Kalia was unable to compose original prayers to the Lord, thus paraphrased some of the prayers offered by his wives. Thinking the Lord would be pleased, he spoke words similar to theirs. And Vishwanath writes, since there is the accepting of the asat, or attachment, hatred, so on, by even the intelligent people, this is Vishwanath paraphrasing Kaliya's words, even intelligent people are attached to asat, despite understanding it to be unfavorable. So what to speak then of foolish persons such as ourselves? What fault do I have? Like, ignorance is, he's pleading ignorance. And his wives have already also said, he didn't understand who you were. You removed his coverings, and he now understands who you are. So he's now very repentant, and he's fit to be forgiven. Now the next verse, this is still Kalia. O Supreme Creator, it is you who generate this universe with an arrangement of the material modes that was the same, very similar to the last verse of the wives' prayers. You manifest various species with varied sensory and physical strength, like me, and I'm a serpent. And here's the next verse. Among the species within your material creation, we serpents are by nature always enraged. How can we possibly give up this conditioning on our own? Help. So he has helped. He's taken away his coverings so that he's now able to understand what he wasn't able to understand before. Oh, independent Lord Bhagavan, since actions are dependent on you, by your will alone, we are, I have to edit, we can do anything. Thus, what can low persons like us say about this? How can we give up the illusion of being angry? We cannot do it on our own. If you make us give it up, then it can be given up. Krishna, for giving up Maya, you should worship me. Kalia, I'm ready. But we are bewildered by your Maya, and due to this, we don't worship you. And here's the last of Kaliya's words or prayers. You are the actual cause of freedom from illusion. Please arrange for us whatever you consider proper, whether it be mercy or punishment. That's the conclusion. Since I cannot give up this nature on my own, you should do something. Do as you wish. You know the power of your Maya and my miserable position. You should give mercy because you are the supreme independent, and thus you can also punish me. So it's very similar to what the wives were saying. You have these two natures, and it's fitting for someone who's in this superior position to be forgiving, especially when there's repentance on the side of the person who has erred. And our husband is in that, we can see he's in that condition. He's now become a Vaishnava. He's very happy to be in your service as opposed to harassing your devotees. So please forgive him. Now, that's there explicitly, please forgive him, please forgive him, please forgive him. And then the husband, the Kalia, is saying, you can do with me what you feel is appropriate. You're supremely independent. You have the power to do whatever you wish. I certainly want your mercy, but if you feel that mercy is more punishment, then so be it. Now, I hope you're not disappointed, but that's the end. Because two reasons. Because yesterday went for so long and it was too much. And so this evening is deliberately less than too much, maybe too little. But a second reason is the questions and answers have been fantastic, super fantastic. And I like the discussion part very much. And here's a third reason, that there's some explanations that we'd like to present tomorrow, in the final session, part 6. The from Bhakti Sandarbha, not tomorrow, on Sunday, from Bhakti Sandarbha about the process of envy and becoming free from envy. Now, what does Bhakti Sandarbha say about that? Now, I'll give you a little heads up, because part of the discussion tomorrow on Bhakti Sandarbha is going to include this. There's a nice verse, amongst many nice verses, that Jiva Goswami quotes twice in Bhakti Sandarbha, and it's a teaching of Prahlad to his classmates, Canto 7, Chapter 7, and to his classmates he's explaining that the process of bhakti has, without any additional effort or means of purification or quality or anything, just bhakti alone has the capacity to overcome the 6 faults. And envy is one of those 6. Then there's a qualitative way in which bhakti needs to be carried out so that it can free one from all faults or material contamination. But bhakti has that power in and of itself, rather than relying upon other things and other things. Now, if one takes up other things and other things which go on in our devotee communities, that sometimes some assisting modalities are helpful. But ultimately, those assisting modalities are helpful, resting upon bhakti. And without bhakti, that's how he concludes. It's simply useless. Shama eva hi kevalam. That's not his phrase, but that's the Bhagavatam phrase. Waste of time, waste of energy, ineffective. So something to be effective, God has to be connected with bhakti. And bhakti standing alone, if one has that capacity to be Shuddha Bhakta, at least cultivate according to the line of Shuddha Bhakti, then it has the power to take away everything of material contamination. But we'll hear some more from Bhakti Sandarbha on the topic of, because the problem with Kalia was his body and his mind, because of the subtle, the gross covering comes. The gross covering is awarded according to the subtle covering. That's like the explanation of the process of creation, the swabhavas of living entities and the modes of nature that move those swabhavas produce forms of life. And the forms of life are coverings, grosser coverings of the subtler coverings. So how to remove the subtler coverings? In bhakti. The process of yoga and ultimately bhakti, of the best of all the processes of yoga. But I wanted to stay close to the text, because this, you can see it takes a lot of time to go through the text alone, what to speak of other things and other literatures that speak on the same point. It's maybe another time around I'll not just have 5-6 parts, but we'll have like 10 parts. To go more deeply into each, instead of the 30,000 feet, maybe 10,000 feet. Look more closely at what we're flying over. Okay. So, any comments or questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have 2 questions. You said when you're in trouble, take shelter of Sanatana Goswami.
He's so merciful, yeah. But he's not the only one. But he's a good one for sure.
So can you give us some practical application points how to take shelter?
Yeah, sure. I'll refer to Raghunath Das Goswami, Manashiksha. You know the Manashiksha, the first verse of Manashiksha. Oh, my dear mind. If you would all desire the eternal association and service of Radha Krishna in the spiritual world, then hitva dambam, give up pride. And then there's a whole, how do you give up pride? And take shelter of the he names three personalities: Rupa, Sanatan, and Srup Damodar. Now that's Raghunath Das is so. How to take shelter of those persons? That's the question. How do you take shelter of anyone? You hear about them. You understand what their teachings are. You try to bring those teachings. You hear them again and hear them again and hear them again, and just like this repeating over and over again. There's several times. These 2 nights prayers of Rupa Goswami in relation to the Kaliya serpent. Haribol. And just hear again and hear again. And so it starts to go in. Hear about his life, understand his position, how Rupa Goswami looked to him, how he engaged with Rupa, how he engaged with the, etc., etc., how he lived his life, his writings, and immerse yourself in the personality through sound, and you can associate with the person that way. And find persons that have that affinity for that person and associate with those persons.
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. The second question I have is Kalia's prayer felt like this. Like sometime I also pray like that. Like I cannot do anything, Krishna. Whatever you just do. I have no strength. But I also feel
you
like
you mumbled the last part. You say, Krishna, you can do with me what you like, and then you mumbled.
not what you like. Like I cannot do anything, you do it, like.
Yes, sir. And
Like that,
we serve, and through the medium of service, Krishna may do what Krishna wants to do through the medium of service.
I feel like there is very passive, like no accountability on my part.
Yeah, that's not, change that dial. Get another setting. The service setting. Now, then takes, what does Krishna want? Yeah, that's a nice question. And you may not have the answer, but you keep asking the question. And you go to Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami and Srup Damodar, they'll have the answer. You just familiarize yourself with what they say, and then you'll know what Krishna wants. And then you align yourself with what Krishna wants, and may I become your instrument to do what you want. Make me dance, make me dance, make me dance as you like. Okay. Anyone else? And way in the back. You always have really good questions. I was hoping you'd raise your hand.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is more of a comment, I think.
Okay, fine.
A few comments, just some things I was noticing during the last part of the prayers of the wives, that they didn't want Krishna to. He told them, that he needed 7 or 8 more stumps to get rid of his
The residual stuff.
Yeah, and I was thinking, well, maybe that was why he came back again later, because they didn't let him, do those last few ones.
He got
Yeah, and they said, okay, you forgive him just this one time, but he came back again, and Krishna forgave him
second time.
the second time. And then the other thing was, if it's okay, related to your class this morning about challenges in the lives of devotees.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that it also can be very inspirational. For example, for me, with Srila Prabhupada, I feel, without ever not being his direct disciple and like that, but I feel very connected to him and a lot of it is because of knowing the difficulties that he went. We read a lot, like Sri Vrindavan and I are reading now, I'll Build You a Temple, and just so many things, knowing that. So just that it can be very inspirational when you see, not that you wish it on anyone, but when you see a devotee going through a lot of challenges and still they are able to kind of transcend it. It's very inspirational also. And it also, I think I've heard that it's a way, it glorifies that person as well.
Yeah. 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 Trying to move from all the devotees, and certainly our founder Acharya, but all the devotees meet circumstances, sometimes relentless, one after the next, after the next, after the next, and to remain oriented towards the mission, the purpose, the shelter, the light, and not getting caught in the difficulty. That's a glory of a devotee. One may see that, one may not see that, but it's the glory of a devotee that they continue somehow or another. Yeah. And certainly, in a super excellent way, what the obstacles that Prabhupada faced, after you he wants the garland. Huh? Okay, he's okay. He won't. If he stings, he stings. But he's okay. Yeah. 2 other books. At least, maybe 3. You and Sri Vrindavan. The Shyama Sundar's book, Chasing Rhinos with the Swami. He's a good writer. Guru Das, his book. Vishaka's book, she's a good writer. And what she went is so well written. It is so honest and transparent, and each of the challenges where she came from. Anyway, she came from a wealthy family, but mom and dad were atheists. And her brother was brilliant communist. And the school that she went to, they were just like vicious people. The girls, vicious. Put her down. And there's just and on and on and on. And anyway, the difficulties she faced, and look what she's doing now. And she's still writing these very elevated, just today, someone just sent me something she wrote recently, just like a little paragraph. So from atheism to becoming a devotee, and everything that went with it, the values of the time, and so on and so on. It's very inspirational, these devotees and their appreciation of Prabhupada in ways that are just like you wouldn't know if you didn't read these literatures. There's not in Lilamrita. There's just things that these devotees express that's not in Lilamrita. Anyway, I'm agreeing with you. Okay. You have something. Over here. Microphone. Pass the microphone, please.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I was just marveling at how Kalia, who was almost on the verge of death, and had it not been for the intervention by the Naga-patnis, he would have had the same fate as Aghasura, right? so
Maybe.
in the sense that Aghasura got some kind of liberation, yeah?
Yes, he did.
So important that we have devotees always intervening on our behalf and praying for us and, encouraging us and chastising us and being there, that it's so important for our devotional creeper to survive, thrive, and grow.
Even if you're a demon or a serpent. Phew. Yes. Here comes the microphone. You want to speak into the microphone?
Nice to see you again after almost 40 years. Thank you for this wonderful class. When you started the class and you was talking about how they have that knowledge, the wife.
Yes.
Then Srila Prabhupada say so many times about mercy.
About?
Mercy, kripa.
Mercy.
Yeah, and I think it's only because the mercy of Krishna, because we already have the knowledge, we're born with that, right? That the wife got automatically developed in the heart that knowledge to defend the husband, to pray to Krishna for the husband, just by mercy. And the other thing is that I think Kalia was very lucky that he was married because the wife saved him.
Oh, he was lucky guy.
Then, and it is very fortunate somebody have a wife, like
A qualified wife. Yeah.
yeah, like can save, his wife can save him. Yeah, and then it's just, I think, mercy, because we say we're born with the knowledge, right?
Well, I didn't object, but now I'm going to object. Yeah, but knowledge is covered with ignorance. Our true knowledge is there, a treasure chest, covered by ignorance. Layers and layers and layers and layers, and with locks on the treasure chest. So to release that inherent knowledge, it's not just, wave a magic wand and touch it on somebody's head and that knowledge comes out. It's not how it happens. It's not. So how it does happen consistently, like there has to be someone who has that, and they awakened that which is forgotten. The principle is guru, but aside from the title, it's a function. is someone you can't access that which is intrinsic without that assistance. Someone touching your heart and cleansing and opening and reminding you of what you have forgotten. Here's a little Prabhupada story. You like Prabhupada stories, right? Yes. Yeah, okay. This I heard from Satsrupa Maharaj, who was present, so I take it as, it's accurate. Once upon a time, there was a little center at 26 2nd Avenue. You've heard of 26 2nd Avenue. So, 3 nights of the week, kirtan, lecture, kirtan, prasadam, and people would go home. And then the kirtan started to get really lively. So it was kirtan and dancing. And then little lecture, little prasadam, and more kirtan. People would go home. So it got so lively. This is from Satsrupa Maharaj describing how the sequence went. Brahmananda, like humongous body person, powerful speaker and, charismatic person, asked Prabhupada, is it okay? This is so nice. Is it okay if we can take this outside into the public? And Prabhupada's reply, I was just waiting for you to ask. Then he said, yes, but you have to get a permit because we don't want to have a problem with the police. So they got a permit in Tompkins Square Park. So you've seen maybe the videos of, they got this big bass drum and a trumpet and big, no cartels, just big band cymbals and marching down the street, going to Tompkins Square Park. And went to the park and they sat down, because same thing that they did at 26. They sat down for a little while, then started dancing. And after, this is Satsrupa Maharaj describing, very quickly there was this crowd of people like, who's this guy from Mars anyway? And then the kirtan went on and dancing, and people started dancing with their dancing. And then Prabhupada, the kirtan stopped and Prabhupada stood up. You've seen that photograph, his hand folded in front of him, the church in the background and under the big elm tree. And then, you can hear the drum roll and what's he going to say? What's he going to say? And what Prabhupada said, so he's a world acharya in the making, but he's just starting with this little simple storefront. And his message was, I've not come to teach you something new. I've come to remind you of that which you have forgotten. Cool, huh? But it takes someone to remind us of what we've forgotten. It's there, it's just forgotten. But it takes someone to remind us. And, someone that really knows is the right person to be reminded by. That's the function of the representative of Krishna or spiritual master or guru or, whatever the different nomenclatures are. That's needed. It's not optional. Yes, it's there, but it's covered. And it's taught again and again and again and again and again. It's an essential element. So let's see. Do you have something?
Yes.
I thought so.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for such a wonderful seminar or classes. I'm wondering what your next topic is going to be next time you visit. And I'm really surprised that Lakshmi Devi could not join Rasa dance. Lakshmi Devi.
Yeah.
But from your lectures, it seems Kalia joined Rasa dance as a stage, as a ground.
No, what's the difference?
I don't know.
You heard the class yesterday. She was absorbed in the Aishvarya mood.
Yeah. But I'm really surprised that, Kalia
But
joined.
he became
That's-
purified. You get Krishna's lotus feet on your head like that. And you're may
Yeah.
you become fortunate. and get that mercy of Krishna's lotus feet on your head.
And also I'm surprised that there is no Falashruti or Falastuti at the end
It's gonna come. Just
It's
hang
gonna
on.
come?
Oh
Okay,
yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah.
And then Krishna is always having Kaliya's tail in his hands. So many pictures on sometimes
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah.
And you ever find any more explanation on that?
No.
Please
It's
let
just
us
the
know.
artist. It's just the artist.
Oh,
It's not necessarily anything other than somebody liked it, and so somebody copied it and became a fashion.
okay. Because Radhanath Swami said in South India Yatra that when Hanuman was taking birth, then Alvar say that Shiva said he will come as Hanuman and Parvati will become the tail of monkey. The monkey's pride is in his tail, and she will become the tail of monkey. So I was just wondering, tail has any
If
significance?
there's a backstory, I don't know it.
Okay. Just wanted to comment. Thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful series.
There's 2 questions up front. And we're going to end, I think, with these 2 questions. Okay. Let's do these 2.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I was thinking, listening to the prayers, that it seemed to me, and again, I'm sure it's a mistake maybe, but those prayers were very much on the Jnana platform.
Yeah.
And they were like, because there was a motivation behind Naga-patnis to save their husband. And you mentioned they are pure devotees. So I was thinking, how is that
Well,
related?
pure devotees can, let's be careful. Pure devotees can have abundant knowledge. Let's give some names. Jiva Goswami. Abundant. And knowledge doesn't mean it stopped with Gyan. The commentary indicates here the Naga-patnis are speaking about topics that the Gyanis are very interested in. But devotees can know about those topics from a devotional lens, not just a Jnana lens. So they're devotees, and they're taking shelter of Krishna. They're devotees.
So I think we understand that the jnana is needed, but then if we use jnana for some motivation, because we say Ananya
Well,
Bhakti is unmotivated and
Be
uninterrupted.
Be careful. They're not just manipulating their gift of knowledge to get Krishna to do what they want. They have a want. It's not a full transcendental want. They're wives, but they're dedicated to their husband, and they see him. Their prior discussion was they were thinking, oh, this fellow. But now they've understood he's become a Vaishnava, and so recognizing that he's become a Vaishnava, they want to save him. They want to protect him. So they're pure devotees. They're not Gyanis hiding behind their Gyan to get what they want. Behind you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Mine is also on the similar question. It's like, as we have heard the prayers, if we are saying that they are pure devotees of the Lord, and when Krishna says that few more steps, and
They
then
said what?
Krishna says that few more steps, and then he will die. If Krishna
Well,
would have, then
Why was Krishna saying that?
yeah.
No, one answer is what we heard already.
Yes. No, my question is further. It's
So,
not like
Krishna, maybe there's many options besides this one that you're thinking. One option is he could just be testing. And their response is not a rejection of the test, but it's their passing of the test.
so. Maharaj, is it okay if I interrupt?
Yeah, sure.
My question is, like, the argument that they have given is like, okay, if he dies, then we will be
Husbandless.
husbandless, and then we will be
Widows.
harassed by the other non-devotees. non-devotee serpents. That's the explanation. We will be harassed by the other. So how do we understand the heart of a devotee? Are they asking to save him just so that they will not be harassed? Because Kalia had an opportunity to go back to Godhead, right? He's not been killed by some other demon. He's been killed by Lord Krishna himself. And he's almost at the verge of getting liberated. So as a devotee, are you not letting him go back to Godhead? But are you trying to see, if he's not there, then we'll be harassed by other serpents? How do we understand their
You better
heart?
have a discussion with your wife about this topic.
I'm trying to understand, is it the nature of the female?
The angle from which you're looking at this is interesting. And one could make a case, you're making a case, they're not pure devotees. They're devotees, but they're not pure devotees. So one is Jnana Mishra Bhakti, the other is Karma Mishra Bhakti. They're devotees, but they're not pure devotees. That's the argument.
Yes.
Both of you, you're separate, but
Yes.
they're not pure devotees. Look at the answer that he gives. Whatever you feel is appropriate. And he didn't say, if you want, I heard you say to my wives, I needed 6 or 7 more or 8 more stomps on my head. Go right ahead, if you wish. He didn't explicitly say that, but it's whatever you feel is best. And they understand, the wives understand, he's a Vaishnava. He was what he was, and now he's purified. And there's this lengthy description in the prayers of how much fortune one gets to get the dust of the lotus feet, what to speak of all the stamping and, so he got a lot of mercy. Punishment, a lot of mercy. So if his prayers were longer, they're short. If his prayers were longer, but he's in a pretty bad condition, I heard you say to my wives, I'm not squeaky clean yet. You had to stamp on my hood some more, and I may die, but that's okay. No, he didn't say. He just said in short, you do what you feel is best. I'm ready. He surrendered. So one can make an argument for their pure devotees. Or he's a pure devotee, at least. He's become a pure devotee. And they may have their mix of interests. Not fully what Krishna wants. It's what they want. Okay?
Thank you,
You
Maharaj.
satisfied?
Yes, Maharaj.
Till
Can I
tomorrow
ask you
you're
one more
satisfied. You'll come up with something else, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. This question is from Archie Devi Dasi Mataji. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, can you kindly explain a little more about Kaliya's past life and why he got snake's body?
Hey, stay tuned for tomorrow or for Sunday morning.
And she further says, is devotees association work only when one is interested in progressing spiritual path?
No.
Because it didn't work for Kalia, even though
it
he
certainly worked for Kalia. The premise is it definitely worked for. It's the wrong premise. And Krishna can give his mercy to whoever he likes, without a a permission slip. He can give to whoever he likes. Okay. Someone, Ragambika?
Conclude that the prayers of the wives actually didn't make a difference, because we're seeing the wives were Mishra Bhakti, but Kalia became a pure devotee.
Yeah. So
What's the relation between the wives' intervention and pleading and the ultimate result of Kalia becoming a pure devotee? Is that just his own, because of Krishna's, curing him, purifying him?
But Bhakti begins, my understanding is this, the seed of Bhakti came from his wives.
Okay. And that was stated in one of the verses somewhere we found. Yeah. Okay.
So, and then, but it was covered like anything by his mind and his body and, the material conditioning and his offenses and so forth and so on. So he's a really covered fellow. In some case, it's just, the touch of Krishna's foot and presto, and his like, bam, 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 bam. So he was a hard case. But Krishna was ready to go through the course. So your question is it due to the wives or due to the touch of Krishna's feet? So Bhakti begins from the gift of Bhakti from his wives. That's the seed comes from someone who has the seed. They can give it. And then growing the seed, Krishna grew the seed. So he heard what the wives said. It's not like he was able to hear. He was smashed, but he was able to hear. And he paraphrased their prayers. So it's not a 10 hearing the prayers of his wives, but it's not a 0 either. And the fullness of the mercy was the touch of Krishna's lotus feet. It's in purification that comes from Krishna's lotus feet, because his wives were his wives before, and they wasn't having the same impact until the touch of Krishna's lotus feet. The dust from Krishna's lotus feet. So, combination. Really? Just wait a minute. Right here. Sorry.
Maharaj, regarding this Naga-patnis, what I've been hearing from yesterday and today, I just had this small reflection about their bhakti status, basically. So, I felt that they are very focused on their Krishna consciousness, their bhakti, because initially in the prayers they said that you can kill him, we are happy to be widows and practice our bhakti. But now when he's transformed, they're asking, please spare him because he's already a Vaishnava and we want his association.
Well, you can look at it that way. We can also look at it, they know they're devotees and they understand Krishna's heartstrings and they're plucking Krishna's heartstrings. You have something.
I was just going to, continuing from what Mother Ragatmika was saying, that whether or not Naga-patnis made any difference, because the concluding verse of Shukadev Goswami is, thus praised by the Naga-patnis, the Supreme Personality of Godhead released the serpent Kalia, who had fallen unconscious, his heads battered by the striking of the Lord's lotus feet. So because the Naga-patnis were praising him, and then Krishna released Kalia, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Krishna, upon reaching his decision...
Read it slowly. You speak fast.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in this purport it is mentioned,
It's the same verse that you're referring to.
verse 54.
54.
Verse 54. So he says, Vishwanath Chakravarti says in his commentary, Krishna, upon reaching his decision, immediately jumped down from Kaliya's hoods and stood before the serpent and his wives. So when they finished the praise, then Krishna was influenced and then he jumped off and then he's like, okay, now I'm going to let him go. So it seems like it made a
Ragamika,
difference.
does that help your question? Or it brings another question on top of the other question.
I was just reflecting that this, the promise that for a devotee, 10 generations past and 10 generations forward are saved because of one devotee practicing Krishna consciousness. So that wives had that effect, planting the seed, So just our being in a family, a seed is planted in all the family members just by thinking of us, even though we're mixed devotees. I'm sorry, I brought it to another whole.
One last thing, and I'm going to end because aren't you glad that I had a short class so we had all this nice discussion? How do we apply all this to us? And each of us began our Krishna consciousness by something, the association with a devotee that gave us Krishna Bhakti in one form or another, maybe prasadam, maybe a book, maybe kirtan, maybe so many maybes. And then little bit. And so then what about the deliverance, the coming to the stage of perfection and progressing towards that stage? So it's a combination. I like the combination. It's the effort and mercy, and the wives were their cheerleaders for their husband in his smashed condition, and were they motivated? Seems like they were motivated, but they were able to move Krishna from the hoods to standing in front of him, to do what they wanted, what they were wishing for him to do. And he did. And then Kalia offered his prayers, etc. So it's a combination. I like the combination concept. I'd like to end, if that's okay, because we'll take
I'd
you.
just like to tell something to him, to this devotee,
This-
about the wife. Why they don't let her liberate, because it's a nectar in devotional service. If he died, he was a Vaishnava, but he had the chance to live to do devotional service.
It's a good argument.
So the wife are pure devotee. Join the wife.
Be the Prabhupada.